Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm for Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. Today, we're diving into your crypto portfolio strategy for large caps, mid caps, and small caps. How to make the maximum gains this cycle, and how, as Raoul says, not to fuck it up, but more detailed of how to allocate your alts. So stay tuned.
Picture this. 6 months ago, Bitcoin was $50,000. If you'd deposited then, you could have grown your portfolio by thousands. But waiting? It costs you more every day. Drip2 BTC turns missed opportunities into gains. Buy Bitcoin, deposit it, and watch your wealth grow effortlessly. Vacations, new cars, financial freedom, it starts here. Drip2BTC.com.
All right. I got this particular strategy from Virtual Bacon. He's been in the crypto space for quite a while. He's actually a angel investor with hundreds of startups. He's been trading cryptos for multiple years, has multi-million dollar portfolio, does a lot of research. And I've gone through a couple of his videos, especially on like the macro analysis, where he's talking about Fed liquidity injections and all sorts of other stuff that I don't see other people talking about besides Raoul. So I like his approach because it's data driven, and then I can take that and make my own assumption. Now, big caveat, one thing I'm learning this cycle, and I got this from another mentor of mine, but he's in the business space. That is Alex Hormozi. He has a saying that says, replicate before you iterate. Meaning, a lot of times we get information from people that we look up to or that have built up knowledge in a particular area, and we seek out their counsel, right? But what we end up doing, or at least I can speak for myself, we take their advice and then we go, I think I can do it better. I'm going to tweak this, tweak that, tweak this, and then it'll be better. No, this is what I'm learning this cycle. Replicate before you iterate. Meaning, what I show you in here is his representation of a sound portfolio, do that this cycle. Do it for 6 months. Do it exactly as listed. That's why I also have this one here. This is the public portfolio that I have that is, fake money, but it's to replicate a strategy from Raoul. Now, this is not the particular exact allocation Raoul gave, but it does give the 80% into Bitcoin and Solana, which is also what we're going to uncover with Virtual Bacon, a couple of his different strategies. So this also lines up with the money flow chart I showed you in the video yesterday. So all this ties together, and I think it's super important because without a strategy, without a plan, then you're going to do like I did, and you end up with the wallet of shame with hundreds of shit tokens that you're just chasing around, running through a YouTube video. Somebody pumps it and says it's going to the moon, and you're like, okay, I want that, and I want that, and then you just got all this shit on different layer twos, and you're jumping on different platforms, and you can't keep up with stuff, and you're more than likely to get wrecked more easily, especially if you're in the DeFi space, jumping on different platforms, connecting your wallet to all sorts of craziness. So again, Raoul says, no more than 3 to 5 tokens. I think I have in my portfolio, we'll cover it maybe a total of 10. And that's because I already had it in there, but I'm going to be shaving those off as they sell off in this cycle to get it to a more manageable portfolio. So this video from him is 36 minutes long. I would recommend you watch it, but I'm going to give you the TLDR on it. And I created a website thanks to AI, basically taking the summary and then kind of giving this website overview. So I will try to remember to put his link in the description so you can watch this. But the basic premise I want to cover up here is he shows a bunch of technical analysis and fundamentals on how altcoins perform against Bitcoin in the last cycles. And the thesis he comes up with is that on average, you should see, if you're playing it safe, at least a 3x of your alts. If you're doing average, you should see at least a 4x, and aggressive at least like a 5x. And that was because he saw in these other tokens over the years anywhere from 12, 20, sometimes even hundreds of percent, but those are outliers. But the average he came out to is you should have basically like a 6x return on your altcoin portfolio this cycle if you are doing it correctly. So if you don't end up with that, we'll just say 3 to 5 to be conservative, because that's kind of what he shows here. And the main TLDR is that you need to be evaluating your portfolio against Bitcoin. Quite simply, if your portfolio does not have more Bitcoin evaluated dollar value than you started, then you're not outperforming Bitcoin, and you just be better off in Bitcoin. One way to do that, especially if you have a public portfolio out here, is literally just come over to the hamburger icon and select Bitcoin as the currency. And then you can see that my portfolio is down, a fraction of some Bitcoins compared to what I started with, which means it would have just been better for me to have been holding Bitcoin this whole time. But this portfolio is only 2 weeks old, or 1 week actually. So that's what you need to continue to check in on. And there will be drawdowns, and that's what he covers again in this video. You can expect some drawdowns. Raoul mentioned this as well. So expect swings of 30 to 40% in your portfolio. And depending on how aggressive you are, you're going to want to be able to weather those storms. So let's go over this overview. Basically, he's got portfolio allocations for 100K, 1 to 10K, and smaller 1K. And I'm going to only be covering basically the less than 1K, because I know, as my channel states, my goal is to empower the impoverished and help them find financial freedom through crypto assets. So I'm looking at people that have small amounts to invest and want to turn that into something sizable. So even though he covers 1 million and in larger sums, we're not going to break all that down in detail. The lessons learned from his video is that the bull run gains can disappear quickly. That is what this money flow chart is all about. So you got to be paying attention to the ebb and flow and have a exit strategy, realizing how much profit you want to take when the cycle is coming to an end, when your crypto is topped out, whatever. You have to be paying attention to this because the gains can come overnight. Literally just you wake up and Bitcoin is on a rip and your altcoin has gone up 500x. Take profits. Get your initial out as soon as possible. Tailor your portfolio to your risk tolerance. I'm going to show you that with what I have. And main thing is stack sats, blue chip stability, preserve value over time. So it's all about, again, this money flow, making sure you are accumulating the blue chips. From these gurus, the blue chips they're calling this cycle is your Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. I would just focus on Bitcoin, just have one. But if you have the money to diversify, of course, you can look at the others. All right, so now we're going to go into what the actual portfolio strategy looks like. He's got this spreadsheet that he linked, and he shows the risk profiles. So depending on what you're willing to allocate and what your risk tolerance is, this is like you could say normal or average and aggressive. And what you can expect to see in these, depending on how aggressive you get, like a $1,000 investment, 50% in your blue chips and 50% low cap, you can expect to see 30% loss at some stage, but the gain is much, much more. So you can expect to see a 10x in your portfolio gain. So again, we're not going to cover the 100,000 to 10,000, and I'm not even going to really cover in detail. I'm going to show you my portfolio instead, but let's look at the 1,000 range. So what he has here is a couple of different strategies based on your risk tolerance. And with, let's zoom in here a bit. Apologize for that. Should have thought about that. With all these different strategies, you'll see that it's still heavily weighted to the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. Now you can split across these three. That doesn't mean you have to have 80% only in Bitcoin, 80% only in ETH, only in Solana, whatever. Like this one could be 20-20-20. So you do have that ability to split across those three because they're going to all do pretty well this cycle. Now, one thing he mentions, if you have a smaller bag, then you don't want to try to split your portfolio across mid caps and low caps. He calls this a barbell strategy. So you're weighting one end over the other, because if you try to go in with like a 20-20 here with the small amount you have, you're not going to be able to see those increases like you'd want because you're splitting it across so many different portfolios. And again, the goal is to have a smaller portfolio number of coins in your portfolio. I think for his 1 million, he had only 23 tokens in that 1 million. So let that sink in. This is more where I'm at. I have I'm between 10K and 100K. I lost over 100K in the last cycle across NFTs and shit token community projects. So I have to literally build my bag back up. And right now, I do not have any of these splits. I am somewhere in the middle, and we're going to take a look at that now. All right, so these are my actual allocations by percentage weight. Now, here's the hard part. I showed you guys this in the last video. Depending on what definition you go with, you can find blue chip, large cap, mid cap, and low cap / DGen is what I'm calling it. You can find them with different values down here. These are the more industry standard. And then this is what Virtual Bacon said in his video. He basically calls a low cap anything under 100 million. Mid cap is anything over 100 million. And your blue caps, he only said, your blue chip or large cap, he only said BTC, Solana, and ETH. I went ahead and added a 10 billion here above because I had some of these over here. So technically, by his definition, these three would be over here in the mid cap, and then I'd be even more out of balance because I don't have that quote unquote barbell strategy. But what you can see basically, regardless of how I define the category, I'm basically sitting with an 80-10-10. That's the easiest way. And there's about 5% missing from here because that is in stables. So I'm planning on buying the dip with those. But I do have, we'll just call it 80% of my portfolio in blue chips. And what my plan is over time is to allocate even like Cardano and Doge and BNB. So BNB and Cardano is what I went the heaviest in for my blue chips. And I want to move that slowly into BTC. So as I start to sell off on that, I got in a great price. I showed you guys that on my channel. Showed you this video 3 weeks ago, and you still had the opportunity to buy ADA at literally like 35 cents, I think it was. And that's because it had been trading that way for like over a year and a half. And now it's already up. I think it made almost 3x. We got up to $1, and then it's kind of came back a little bit. Where are we at, ADA? It's in BTC. Yeah, so I've made a 3x on that. So whenever you have these portfolios, you have to keep in mind the leverage and weighting that you're trying to do. So right now, my portfolio is heavily weighted on ADA. So I want to take profits out of that and roll it into Bitcoin, or if I'm following Raoul and Virtual Bacon, I would roll it into Solana. And I went into BNB, and I don't know what BNB is going to do. I'm still bullish on it, but there's nothing out about it this cycle that's showing any positive momentum. It's been trading sideways, but I have this sitting on PancakeSwap using a V3 pool. So as BNB goes up, then my USD trading pair alongside it buys the BNB, and I'll end up with all BNB out of that, I think around the $750 range. So that means at $750, I was purchasing BNB at around $550, and then it got sold out to $750, so I would be in profits on BNB. And from there, again, I would continue to sell it off and go into Solana or Bitcoin or ETH, as again, they mentioned, right? So I want to trim my portfolio down based on how it's performing throughout this cycle. I'm still bullish on all of these, but rather than trying to chase all the pumps, I'm going to, this is how I already started it, and I didn't have a portfolio strategy beforehand. I was just accumulating tokens that I thought would do well this cycle without any real technical analysis or anything like that. Like even OKB, I still have, because that is a centralized exchange token as well as the layer 1 and now a layer 2 as well on the X layer. But I've only seen a few marketing commercials and promos out here in Asia, and I don't know what they're still doing with their layer 2. So again, I'm kind of heavy weighted in that. Then of course, I still have this shit token from the drip community and have about 4.5% in there. That's smoking chicken fish. This is just a bunch of stuff left over from the last cycle. I'm calling it dust/shit tokens. And this is World Liberty Financial from Donald Trump. So the goal, as I showed you guys with this, is right now I already have some in mid cap and small cap. But as they start to reach price appreciation areas that I want to take profits on, I will be selling that into Bitcoin, so I'll have to sell it out into USDT and then buy Bitcoin with it. But like I showed you guys, the goal at the end of this is to have more Bitcoin in your portfolio than you started with. So I have a different spreadsheet where I'm tracking the entire amount of Bitcoin that I had when I started this, and I will be trying to basically get more and more and more and more over this cycle. Now, Virtual Bacon on his video also tells you kind of what to expect. I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but he had like a quick on-screen text that said, like, depending on what you start with, you should try to have this amount of Bitcoin by the time it's over. Yeah, there we go. So this one is for the 10K portfolio. So I think you're starting with 0.1 Bitcoin. You want to try to get to a 3x and have 0.3 Bitcoin. I think that's what he was saying. And the other one is like 0.01 Bitcoin. And then you want to try to get to a 0.1 Bitcoin at the end of the cycle. So these are just some strategies that you can look at. And again, I highly recommend you watch this video because I just gave you kind of the real short. It's still 15 minutes long. But the main thing is having a plan and sticking to that plan, and don't go YOLO DJing into everything, because as I showed you guys before, the bulk of the money is coming into this top 100, and even more of that, or more specifically, the top 50 to top 20, if you want to really get narrowed down. So don't go spreading yourself super thin with a bunch of other shit tokens and degen projects, especially if they make you lock up your capital, or you will get wrecked at the end of the cycle, because you will have that wallet of shame with all these different tokens from all these different platforms and chains, and you will have less Bitcoin than you started. All right, that's all I got. Smash that HBO special, help a brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, lift daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.
Want to pay your in real life bills with crypto? How about send crypto directly to anyone with a bank account? Spritz Finance is a decentralized solution to be your own bank and connect your crypto earnings to real-world bills and payments. They do not take custody of your assets and allow support on multiple blockchains and Web3 wallets. Sign up below using my referral link and you will get $50 back when you make your first $50 bill payment with crypto. Additionally, I will be using referral bonuses to airdrop, donate, or burn based on community feedback. Sign up now.